Hello everyone, Dragon Crick aka Lee O'Brien, and today we are going to be talking about a very necessary sequel that has been, well, that was set up back in the first movie. And it's a very needed sequel. A lot of people have forgotten about the first movie, but today we are going to be talking about Legend of the Guardians 2. And it's going to be called Rise of the Pure Ones. Now, before you all start getting really, really excited, this is not official. This isn't like the big studios confirming this. No, this is just us. We're big fans of it, and we're just very good friends. And yeah, so Furyoddity. The first question I have to ask, what made you come up like with the idea of the name for the sequel?
Quite honestly, well, when we did that live stream back like early in the summer, that kind of like the review. I don't know. After that I started actually like reading the book series, and I was like, there's a lot more here to add. So I sort of just kind of went to sleep that night thinking like, what could I put into a second movie, and then it just sort of all started coming together. I kind of honestly made it up as I wrote the script to the video, but yeah, I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I think the reflection, which was awesome when Stoic it was there, Stoic. But yeah, I mean, I think yeah, Rise of the Pure Ones is a very cool name. Is this gonna be
Hmm.
like the Pure Ones movie where they win at the end of it, and then the next movie is where the Guardians win?
Well, no, because most movies, like in a cinematic universe, will follow the hero's journey, which starts with some sort of character. They have an ordeal or something bad that happens to them to make you like feel bad or connect with them. And then they go on this huge journey and life happens, they win. There's very few movies out there where the bad guys win. So um I would guess it kind of make it seem like towards the end of the movie, like not that the peer ones would win, but that like not everything would be okay, but there's still a more like happier ending, like a truer ending, if that
Very
if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I think I like the idea of having it like a big happy ending. So like, I have heard that we could get like if this were to become a franchise, you and a fan of yours think it could be a 5 film series. I think
Yeah.
5 movies could work. I mean, it's a great story. It's an outstanding masterpiece. The first one, very underrated. It's about to be 9 years old soon. And yeah,
Yeah.
I like the idea of 5 movies. I mean, I'm fine with a duology. I mean, we already have two. Like, I think as a duology, it could work the Soren versus Clud storyline. But I think, yeah, I like the
I
idea
think
of five
I
movies.
think honestly it would be better off as a trilogy because halfway through the book series, Corin or Nyrok is introduced. So I feel like just kind of to leave him out of the entire series would be I don't know, a little bit inappropriate. Because he sort of adds to a big part of the whole emotional like story. But I feel to follow like Soren and Clud's story for at least two of the movies, and then in the last movie, pretty much wrap up the entire thing and introduce Korn as like the new king of Hool and stuff like that. I feel like that would honestly be the best way of going about it. Being that there are 15 books in the series, but like really after the Outcast, the things just kind of I don't know, they just sort of tell of a normal story. It's not really like this whole big battle anymore because at that point the Pyrrhons are really just defeated and everything's good in the Owl Kingdoms.
Yeah, I can definitely see your points there. I mean, I think really a nice. I think if you introduce Korn or Nyrok at the end of this series,
Yeah.
it leaves it open for a future story. If we do get sequels, Zack Snyder said he'd only make one if there was such a need, and if the first movie did well. But and like, what's gonna be the plot of it? Like, I know, like, what's gonna be the synopsis? Like, what's gonna happen at this second film?
I'm not really sure, honestly. Probably definitely the story about Clud and all that happening, continuing that. But also, I guess making it sort of a coming of age thing for Soren because I mean, basically in the first film he stayed the same age he was and he didn't really grow. And as the books continue, he grows and gets more mature and becomes more like involved with the Hoogle people. So yeah, it'd probably be more of a coming of age sort of thing. instead of like the normal, just sort of follow a character through their adventure.
And considering Digger is going to go from a comic relief, will he go from a comic relief to a serious badass like he is in the books?
Yeah, well, Digger in the books, they actually like say he's one of the most like philosophical owls they've ever seen, or like the most wise owls they've seen. So I'm not sure. I think we should definitely keep the humor there because that's just part of his character. That's what made him so lovable. But I don't know, just kind of make him more true to the books in a
I think the
sense.
sequel has more potential to stay true to the books. I mean, the first movie is just the beginning to a big storyline. I think
Yeah,
with Clud becoming Metalbeak, which is one of the main big boy things of the first 6 books, considering the second one would be based on book 4, book 5, book 6. I mean,
yeah,
I think Clud being Metalbeak will make the story a lot more closer. He's the part of the main things, um and obviously will there be character personality changes, like character growth and development for characters such as Twilight, Digger, Eglantine? Like, will Eglantine be a teenager the same age as Soren in the first film, and will Soren be kind of like Hiccup where we see him grow older throughout this
yeah.
film series?
I think that everyone should at least age a year or like however owls age in the story. I'm not sure, but Eglantine's definitely older. I also feel like that Otulissa, despite like she should kind of drop that whole nerdy, annoying thing because she becomes filled with hatred and just like I don't know, just craps on the Pure Ones for like the rest of the entire um book series until they're like finally killed. But I think definitely having some maturity into the characters is part of it. Just to kind of make it look more grown and relatable in a sense.
I think, yeah, I mean, I can definitely. I'm actually, hearing all this makes me really think we are gonna get a sequel, but part of me
Yeah.
then goes, oh, I doubt it, but I'm still gonna give up. I'm still gonna keep the hope up. I don't want to give it up. It's not, you can't just give it up that easy, because if you keep wishing, you keep wishing,
Yeah.
it could come true. It really could, but I
For,
mean,
yeah, for
I know
sure.
it's unlikely. But I think the chances are mixed. Like, we could get a sequel, but there are also the chance that we won't. Because I mean,
Yeah.
in Ireland and the UK, the first film's on Netflix, thankfully. And I wonder, excuse me if anyone has seen it now, but I mean, I hope a lot of people have seen it, because if you haven't, go see this movie. It's amazing. Um, but I mean, I think really, yeah. I mean, I think I'm interested to see how the characters grow, how they learn from what they did in the first movie to change to character growing them in the second film, and
Yeah.
will and how is gonna how and like will there be mentions of Zutar from the first movie into this one?
Well, I open my video like the way I start the thing is a mentioning of well not Surtur but like Clud because at the end of the movie Soren's telling like the story of what happened and it shows Clud and he says like Clud was never found. So I feel it and it like shows Clud in the shadows with like the pure one eyes and like the hatred look in his face. But I feel like there wouldn't be a mention of Surtur, but it would show his body or like the corpse of him, because that's where Clud goes and he like picks up the mask, puts it on, becomes like the new Metalbeak. Yeah, I didn't really think that far ahead because I mean I'm a 16-year-old kid, so
I think, yeah. I mean, I like that idea as well, and like I think it could begin. It could either begin like the hidden world where we see the main characters in fighting scene, or we could event or
yeah, it could also like happen as like a dream because Soren has the Starsight stuff, so it could happen as like a future foretelling of a dream that he has, or like some sort of war that's gonna happen, or like that happens at the end of the movie, or something like that.
And do you think, and like, what would the dialogue be when Claude, like
I'm
at the
not
very
really
beginning?
sure.
Because I'm
In the
guessing,
what?
because I'm guessing that the beginning of the movie is going to be Claude coming back, like with the collecting the Metal Beak mask. Then years
Yeah,
jump.
yeah. Well, not necessarily years, but maybe like a few weeks because I don't know. They mention all throughout the whole series that like owls only live for 5 years or something like that. I'm not sure. But mind you, they're animals and we're humans, so they have a lot shorter lifespan.
Well, that
So
sucks.
it's harder to put yourself into their point of view, which is what I think what makes trying to figure this movie out all the more difficult.
I mean, I think really, I think yeah. I mean, I'm interested. Yeah, I think maybe it could begin like. I mean, what gap is it gonna be between this and the first movie?
I would say maybe a month, honestly, like a month at the least.
Well, you would need to have a bit of a gap. I mean, look at Incredibles 2, which came out
That
14
is
years
true.
ago.
Yeah, because that also like works with time. You would have to have some sort of like you said, like a sort of gap just to kind of show how things have evolved, but also an extensive scene where it shows how each character has changed in their own ways.
I definitely, and I think really, they should definitely do a month. I think a month sounds cool. And in
Yeah,
and
I feel
how
like
is this
a
movie?
month is just kind of liable, honestly. Like that's the best. It just sounds the best.
And how would the film end exactly?
I think it would end with some sort of to be continued in a sense, not like specifically saying at the end like to be continued or the Guardians who will return, like trademarking Marvel, but it it would end with some sort of reference to Corrin being born or hatched, like with Naira in the cave or whatever, and he hatches and stuff, and then the movie ends. Because then that leaves you thinking like, what's going to happen next? Like, we want to see more.
Leaves it open ended, like the hidden
Yeah.
world. It'd be fine if they just said something about a cancellation sequel.
I don't know. I feel like all movies at some point in their production think about, at least like the directors and producers, they definitely think about having a sequel. But it's really a sequel is honestly dependent on how much money it makes and how well the movie does.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, I just wonder if, like, I just wish they'd say something about a sequel. I'd wish they'd say something. Was it cancelled? Was it gonna happen? And then
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like saying, oh, but I mean, like, look at Spider-Man 4. That was gonna happen, but then they cancelled it.
Yeah. And then they remade it like 20 more times.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I guess we'll end it soon.
Yeah.
And like, do you think in your opinion, and like, how do you and how is it gonna happen? Like, how are you gonna create the sequel and all? Like, tell us the whole story about how you're gonna get the rights, everything, etc.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
can.
I'm not really sure of how to get the rights because I'm not even in college yet. I'm going to my junior year of high school. Like it's insane. Like this is more of a dream instead of an actual plan. But if I do manage to get good at like film and editing and stuff like that, like through my college years, which are coming up soon, which I plan on taking some sort of film class, like I'll go ahead and like I'll try to do what I can about making a sequel. But um, I don't know. The hardest part would probably be to get the rights, and then after that would be budgeting, and from there would have to just hire voice actors and animators, stuff like that. So it's a long process. Like I would tell you, like if I knew for sure that I could in fact make a Legend of the Guardians 2, like don't like wait until at least 2035. Like that would be the earliest it would come.
Well, it's gonna take a long time anyway. Jesus, wow.
For sure, yeah.
I wish it would come out sooner though. But
Yeah, I wouldn't mind like some sort. I honestly, if the directors like came out tomorrow and said, "By the way, we had a sequel planned, but it's not going to happen," that would make me happier because they just kind of left it almost like Legend of the Guardians never happened in their movie making history.
that's true, and Zack Snyder never even mentions, and not even Warner Brothers. And not only we're just getting shitty kids movies by Warner Brothers now.
Yeah,
They're just, I mean, Smallfoot. At least it's decent, but no.
Yeah.
No. Lewis and the aliens.
The world's losing ideas,
That's
and
true.
I feel like that's kind of I don't know that's probably why honestly Legend of the Guardians was not as popular is because it was just a playoff of a book series, and I mean people don't really like to see that. Like it was quite a famous book series, but I don't know. I feel like people like more original ideas instead of just something that happens or that has already happened that they've already seen.
Hmm. Well, we'll end the interview now. So, have you got anything you want to say
Okay.
before we go?
Subscribe to PewDiePie.